ACNTV. Focused, uncensored, undiluted.
Happy New Year and good evening. This is the People's Weekly Briefing with your spokesperson, Akosin Raymond. Today is Sunday, January 3rd, 2021. The Ambazonian Governing Council, the AGOVC, takes cognizance of the passage by unanimous consent of the United States Senate Resolution 684. The AGOVC thanks the U.S. Senators for their continuous and renewed interest in seeing the Ambazonian Liberation War come to a close. The AGOVC informs Ambazonians that the U.S. Senate Resolution of January 1st, 2021 reiterates their call for a ceasefire and negotiations to end the war. The AGOVC would like to remind the United States that in a just concluded discussion with the UNSG's Special Representative, Ambassador Francois Luceni-Fall, the UN officially informed the AGOVC that Cameroon was unwilling to come to the negotiation table at this time. Concerning the heightened call for a ceasefire, the AGOVC welcomes the call and restates the rights of the Ambazonian people in international law to self-defense. The right to defend its territorial integrity and civilian population from the aggressor state of Cameroon that violated international borders in 1961 to annex Ambazonia against the will of the Ambazonian people. The Secretary of State of the Ambazonian Governing Council, Dr. Larry Ayamba, will be reaching out to the Foreign Affairs Committee of the United States Senate on a workable and viable solution to peacefully end the over half a century colonization of Ambazonia by Cameroon. On the state of the Ambazonian Liberation War, the AGOVC would like to inform Ambazonians that at the close of 2020, the Vice President of the Ambazonian Governing Council chaired a cabinet meeting of all executive members. The AGOVC leadership assessed the Liberation War and concluded that the state of our war is great. The AGOVC has set as objective for 2021 to achieve a territorial-wide stabilization of the Ambazonian resistance, and the formula for such achievement is the institution of a national defense stabilization. A more stabilized Ambazonia means, number one, lesser control by Cameroon and tougher times for all its colonial administration and forces operating in Ambazonia. Number two, expansion and control of more Ambazonian liberated communities by our defense forces, and therefore more community schools that run on the Ambazonian educational curriculum as prescribed by the Ambazonian Education Board. Number three, lesser civilian casualties. Four, the strengthening of our gunboat diplomatic strategy. And finally, complete the collaboration process of all defense forces in Ambazonia. The AGOVC reminds again Ambazonians that the triplet strategic game plan of self-defense, targeted diplomacy, and internationalization remains the unbeatable combination to successfully liberate the Ambazonian homeland. Still on the state of our war of liberation, 2 years ago, Cameroon rolled out a diabolic plan that sought to drive a wedge between the Bororos and our defense forces. Civilians and cattle alike were killed, farms destroyed, and distrust between these communities built against our defense forces and sister forces. Cameroon temporarily succeeded, howbeit short-lived. The Hague of Sea announces that these tensions have been brought to tolerable dimensions. The leadership of the ADF in the Savannah states worked tirelessly in rebuilding trust, camaraderie between our defense forces and the Bororo communities. It all culminated in a friendly sports encounter at the close of 2020 that announced a new start for 2021. Again, still on the state of our war of liberation, the observance of the Monday Ghost Town Days. The intelligence unit of the Ambazonian Governing Council has intercepted active work in progress preparation that seeks to frustrate Ambazonia's traditional ghost town days. Cameroon's colonial administration and certain Ambazonians from both the Atlantic and Savannah states are involved in these counter-revolutionary activities that seek to undermine the Ambazonian Liberation War. The Ambazonian Governing Council has issued a fiat to its war council to take necessary action against persons trying to undermine the observance of this day of strategic symbolism. The Hague of Sea reminds all and sundry that in 2016, the people of Ambazonia unanimously picked Mondays as a day to completely shut down the territory in defiance of Cameroon's half-a-century-old colonial domination. This lockdown is a civil disobedience campaign that is grounded on moral and political principles and proves to the world community that Cameroon has no administrative control over Ambazonia. Civil disobedience is an integral component of a democratic Ambazonian state. It is one of the driving factors that allow the people of Ambazonia to exercise their rights to free speech and speak up against an unfair and unjust international system. Therefore, the traditional Monday Ghost Town Days, dubbed Country Sundays, represent the will of the Ambazonian people, and the Governing Council will stop at nothing to uphold this will. The Hague of Sea underlines with vehemence and reminds the people of its zero tolerance on actions perpetrated by individuals or groups of individuals that seek to enable the continuation of Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia. Elections. On the organization and the internal functioning of the Ambazonia Governing Council. The Hague of Sea announces to the people of Ambazonia that this year, 2021, is its election year. We acknowledge that the Ambazonian Liberation War has different movements fighting for the complete liberation of Ambazonia, and that the Ambazonia Governing Council, the Hague of Sea, is only one of such movements. It is important to note that on February 4th, 2018, the Hague of Sea hammered down a constitution, the Hague of Sea's supreme text that spelled out its fundamental principles and established precedents according to which the organization was and is acknowledged to be governed. Article 54 of this supereminent law provides that the president and the vice president shall hold office during the term of 4 years, renewable once. The first term of the current Hague of Sea presidency and vice presidency ends on midnight of February 8, 2021, Ambazonian time. And the president and vice president shall be elected by the voting members in the Council of Missions on the 9th of February and will be installed into office on the 11th of February by the chairperson of the Committee for Rules and Order in the Council of Missions. The Hague of Sea emphasizes that should the current president and vice president intend to run for re-election, this will be their last term expiring in 2025. The Hague of Sea would like to acknowledge that the organization has received numerous calls from well-intentioned Ambazonians from all across the globe condemning the organization of elections. Much as these calls are inspired by love for Ambazonia and for fear of the future, the Hague of Sea reminds that ours is a neatly well-structured and rock-solid organization whose foundation is inspired by and was constructed on uncompromisable democratic values. The Hague of Sea further reminds Ambazonians that the Ambazonian Governing Council was founded to advance and defend the right of the people of Ambazonia to external self-determination from Cameroon and to establish an independent, sovereign, stable, peaceful, investment-friendly, and fast-growing state of Ambazonia. And that, while fulfilling this unique aim, the Hague of Sea emerges as the vanguard of the struggle of all democratic and patriotic forces to end the annexed state of Ambazonia and usher in the reign of the free and sovereign state of Amazonia as a nation under God, marked by unity, bribery and corrupt-free, fast and balanced development, stability, economic prosperity, social political pluralism, the reign of the rule of law, respect of human rights and democracy. As the vanguard of this liberation war and the protector of our democracy, we cannot now start practicing the art of tinkering of constitutions to serve individual egos. It will be bad precedent to sacrifice strong institutions. The Hague of Sea believes that it is extremely important to frequently renew the leadership of every organization by allowing a set of new individuals to come on board and inject fresh perspectives to global trends and developments and help move their organizations in ways that may differ from previously long-held typical traditional approaches. Members of the Hague of Sea's Council of Mission from each county shall, on February 9th, caucus according to the following groupings in alphabetical order: Boyo, Bui, and Donga Mantung shall constitute the first caucus. Fako, Kope Mwanenguba, and Lebialem shall constitute the second caucus. Manu, Meme, and Menchum shall constitute the third caucus. Mezam, Momo, Ndian, and Ngo Katunja shall constitute the fourth caucus. In the days and weeks ahead, the Hague of Sea shall make public announcements regarding the February 9th elections. In defense matters, last week, the ADF launched a second offensive in a precision strike action in a Cameroon military camp in Beme village, Manu State. Several Cameroon forces were injured. The camp is now deserted, and Ambazonia is one less of Cameroon military camps free, a camp that wreaked havoc and mayhem on our civilian population. In defense cooperation, the figures now stand at 98%, up from 95% in 2020. The relationship between the ADF and other sister forces is excellent at this time. The Hague of Sea thanks the ADF and other active forces on Ground Zero for this milestone cooperation undertaken. In communication, on December 27, 2020, the Ambazonia Communication Network, ACN, was launched. The Hague of Sea believes in democracy and the power of a people-owned media outfit. We also believe that access to information delivered by a free press is essential to the health of democracy. It ensures that Ambazonians make responsible, informed choices rather than acting out of ignorance or misinformation. In 2016, as per divine calendar, we, the Ambazonian people, rose up as one man and with one voice began a no-return journey to finally end Cameroon's 60 years of colonial occupation. The leadership of the Ambazonia Governing Council, the Hague of Sea, understood the financial and economic implication of this liberation fight. Consequently, to concentrate scarce resources on a strong military agenda, the Hague of Sea preferred to not duplicate other communication channels that sprang up at the outset of this liberation war. Unfortunately, as records show, these communication channels became propaganda outfits against fellow Ambazonians with the aim of politicizing a liberation war to suit individual rather than collective Ambazonian interest. Politicians mounted the rostrum, spew out lies, hate, and division for our honorable men and women in uniform to kill their peers, sometimes to hide evidence. The 2019 Bui saga, remains fresh on our minds. With this hard lesson of reality, the AGOVC is of the opinion that owning a TV station entirely run and managed by the AGOVC leadership may be tempting to serve a group agenda, and a future Ambazonian state-owned TV station with absolute state control only helps to turn the state into a dictatorship. The Ambazonian democratic experiment starts today and not tomorrow. It provides a platform through which budding talents may search for opportunity, build talents which may benefit to them personally and to a future Ambazonian state. Therefore, the Ambazonian Communication Network, ACN, is a TV station owned, managed, and sponsored by the general public. The AGOVC calls on the public wishing to be part of this endeavor to contact on WhatsApp +1 614 377 0445. And finally, a message of thanks. On the overwhelming 2020 support for the AGOVC, the AGOVC thanks the general public for all the financial, material, and moral support throughout the year of 2020. We are impressed that Ambazonians are quickly aligning themselves with the vision and leadership of the Ambazonia Governing Council. May we now seize this opportunity to reaffirm the AGOVC's fundamental mission of ending the occupation of Ambazonia by Cameroon. Happy New Year, happy 2021. I thank you all for listening.
Welcome to ACN, the Liberation TV of Ambazonia. At ACN TV, your lies will be crushed, your narrative will be buried, and your revised and distorted history will be exposed. ACN TV, the finest voice that celebrates your unsung heroes and the silent voices behind your diplomatic victories. Stay tuned on ACN TV. We will be right back.